Hello, welcome to the Houston SWL channel. You're looking at a Grundig Satellit Transistor 5000. Pretty cool looking radio. It's pretty large also. Just recently got this off of eBay for what I think is a really good price. Just a little bit about it. I guess if you weren't aware, you can buy this book off of, I think I got it off of Amazon. It goes through the different Grundig satellite models. But the 5000, what's based on what's said in here, was I guess the first in this series. It says it was made from 1964 to 1966 based on the Grundig Ocean Boy 204, and that was a earlier model of these similar type. They called them portable radios, even though this is big. So this is from a guy, Gerard's. I blew up the picture, but this is a picture of his Ocean Boy 204. So you can see it's similar with the bank of push buttons here, and then the dial face. So this is actually, let's see, showing U for FM, and then there's K. Let's see if I can get. There's 3 different K bands. That's shortwave, M is medium wave, and L is long wave. And they have the this radio station names printed on the dial, as you can see here. And it's an Ocean Boy. And there was another Ocean Boy model, you see, before this that I don't think had this center switch on it. I think that was the 202, but don't quote me on that. But as you can see, it's similar with the bank of push button switches, similar dial. This just has a little more bands on it, and I guess there's a little more knobs and dials and stuff than on the 204, but the basic design is kind of similar. And so it also goes on to say that the novelty of this device, Transistor 5000, was the use of a drum tuner for some of the shortwave band. So on the left side, there's a knob that you can rotate this drum dial and get 6 other shortwave bands with the band spread a lot wider than what's on here. But I guess I'll show you this. This is a little bit limited. When operated on batteries, the lighting of the scale was tuned or turned on simply by pressing the volume control. So interesting, this is the volume control, so you can actually push it in. And when you do that, it makes some reed switch contacts that'll turn on the light when you're operating on battery power. I guess I have it plugged into AC, so when you turn it on, the light is on this side, and when you switch over to use this side, the light comes on over here. The radio has 2 loudspeakers, and I'll show you that. That's by using this switch here. And in the back, it's sort of similar to other Grundigs, older Grundigs, if you've seen that, with a DIN output, antenna output. Informative book, and they also have one on the Ocean Boy radios as well. It's blue in color. So let me just zoom in. So as you can see here, there's a main tuning dial that operates this FM tuner. And then there's a fine tuning knob that's used when you're in the shortwave bands. I guess it just allows, when you're tuned on a station, then it allows further fine tuning off of that signal to try to dial it in. And as it says here, shortwave fine tuning. So that's for these bands, because the band spread it's pretty wide, the range that it's covering. There's an S meter that goes from 1 to 5, and this really is just kind of useful to tune in the signal. So the better it's tuned in, the higher the needle will go. I've actually never seen it go up to 5, so this may not be calibrated correctly. So AFC off, on for FM, and then looks like if you go down, flip it down here, you can check the battery Then this is how you turn the radio on and off, but I'll show you have to turn on the switch on the power cord. This is the dial. It moves these frequency ranges over here with the drum dial. That's by turning this knob. So this bottom knob is used for everything on this side for shortwave, medium wave, long wave. And then you have different buttons. So let me just turn it on, but I'll show you similar to the Concert Boy. If you saw my video, the power cord has a switch. So even though it's plugged into the power strip here and that's on, you still need to. Now you heard it, and so turn this. And I'm not tuned on a frequency. It's on FM. So these are the different buttons. So FM, so it's really kind of a mechanical marvel, and I'll show you some more of that. So FM, I think this is for to switch in the external antenna. So it's push in and out. These other ones, when you push them, the other switches for the different bands pop back out. So this is shortwave 4, shortwave 3, shortwave 2, shortwave 1, medium wave, long wave. And if you want to use the drum dial over here for these bands, you have to select this top switch, which says S5 to S10, which is what I showed earlier. What this knob is used for. Then that transfers everything over to, I guess, different separate tuner, separate part of the radio to select the different frequency ranges you want to use with this drum dial over here. So that's the front of the radio. You can see it says made in Germany. I guess you'll see this on these older Grundigs. Like I said, when I did the video on the Concert Boy, or reading up on that, some radios may say not made in Germany. I think made in Portugal or wherever else these Grundigs were made at the time. You can see at the bottom it says Transistor 5000. I also believe this may have also been called the 205. And here, if I can get that glare, this is the volume control. There's some German up above it, and then it says volume right below that. And this is if you're playing in, I think this really only works in FM. But if you're on a station, let's see if I can get an FM station. It would actually may be hard to hear with no music. But this radio has one speaker, and then it also has a tweeter. So when you're flipped here, over here, you can see it shows two speakers. So it's playing the bigger, I guess, woofer speaker, and then also adding the tweeter. And if you flip it that way, it's only the big speaker. So it's one or two, but it may be hard to hear.
France led by Mbappe, Kylian Mbappe. He has 8 goals, tied with Messi for the most goals in the World Cup tournament so far. They are an offensive machine.
really not that
Spain,
noticeable.
on the other hand, is a defensive machine.
So this is the volume control. You can see it here, volume, and then in German, whatever that is, Aus something or other. This is the bass wheel and treble over here.
Styles are very opposite. So it'll be interesting to see if it turns out to be an
So
exciting game or
more
a game where
bass,
basically
less
Spain is
bass,
just trying to prevent France
more
from
treble, less treble.
You said Messi, that's Lionel Messi.
So as I mentioned in the past, these old Grundigs, have large speakers, so the audio quality is usually pretty good, and this isn't bad. And on the top here, you can see where it says that Transistor 5000 Satellit. It has a carrying handle that flips over. Pretty long antenna. It almost reaches to the top of the white part of the ceiling, almost as long as my Zenith Transoceanic does. Similar to other Grundig radios, I guess there's these screws that hold the back in. So that's the back of the radio there. You can see since it's powered on the mains. The light is on for the radio. That's the tuning cord, which would appear to be somewhat of a nightmare to have to restring, because it goes up here over a pulley here through one further in the radio, and then I get so pretty intricate. And here's the connections similar to other Grundig radios. This DIN type connector for an output. There's also, I guess, for ground and antenna, I think for FM antenna, and I can't read what those others are. And I guess there's some other plug there. Oh, that says playback. This says record. This one here. And it's a little hard to see the other one. This is a earphone jack, and this says for auto car, so maybe plug this radio, I'm assuming, into your car antenna back into the day and listen to it in your car, even though it's pretty bulky. And down here is kind of the top of the battery container. The batteries go from the bottom of the radio. And this is a little transformer box that takes the AC that's coming in through this line here, converts it. It can either handle 110 or 220. And there's a switch in here. I have it set to 110. Or you can have it set to, with the output voltage, it's set to 9 volts. I guess there's also one you can set to, it says 6/7.5. I'm not really sure when you would use that. But so that's kind of the inside of the radio, kind of a mechanical marvel, really. And here's the ferrite bar antenna used for medium wave and long wave, whereas the whip was used for FM and short wave. So let me go ahead and close this up, and we can tune around some of the bands. And just one additional thing about this faceplate, so you can see that here the shortwave bands are noted with S for shortwave 1 through 5. FM actually says FM, M medium wave, L long wave, and that's what's noted on this faceplate here for shortwave FM. But I guess radios that were this was made for countries outside of Europe, is my understanding, because I was looking at some other radios online, and just here's just one that was from eBay Canada, so that's the same thing. You see S1 through 4 on the side there, and at the top here, and that would be the, but then there was some other, this was from a radio being sold on Etsy, I believe, from Canada. Let's see if I can make this larger. No, but see the difference? I guess the numbers for shortwave instead of S are K. I think that's German word Kurzwelt or something similar to that. And then you can see the writing on the knobs are also in German. For the on-off, it says Ein, Aus for off, and Ein for on, as well as on-off below that. Then it says Satellit here at the bottom for a German-made radio, whereas American, outside of Germany, it'll say Transistor 5000 down here and not Satellit as shown on this picture. Still has the same, drum dial and everything like that. And another one that's being sold on eBay from in Europe, and again you can see instead of S1 through S4 it has K1 through K4. Instead of FM it has U. Medium wave is still M, long wave is L. But as you can see, it has German, and then on the dial it has the different medium wave stations listed, where that's no longer listed on the non-European models. But interesting, I was going online to watch some videos of other people who had the 5000. You may not think this is as interesting as I do, but here's a gentleman showing his Satellit 5000. But the interesting thing about it, on the right side, it has S1 through S4 FM, but the faceplate has the German or European lettering for shortwave, for K instead of S. So I'm assuming his faceplate got changed for some reason, but that's kind of mismatched. I thought this was just kind of odd, because it has German for off and on, whereas the outside of one, Europe had off and on in English spelled out there. So that was just kind of interesting. Oh, and there's one other thing. I think there was a couple of options on this radio, but back here you'll see some that have 3 little switches on them, and you can get a separate module that would plug in, and the module provided 3 separate functions. I think you can see that written on here. So the middle there was a noise limiter, a BFO, and a MFC, which was the manual gain control. And if you go on Diesel 1001's channel, he has a video of his Satellit 5000 that has this module in it. So he goes through those features on his radio. Excellent channel. Definitely check his channel out for the really nice radios that he has and shows everybody. We're in the daytime. I think it's not even 1 p.m. So nothing much is going to be on the shortwave bands. So I'll do a video going through the shortwave bands at another time. But we were just listening to FM.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you.
KUHF 88.7. Aljero. Spanish station. So, and again, I have the mic pointed toward me, not the radio, so the sound quality would even be better pointed at the radio. There's a local Indian station, but you can see the needle just kind of moves up to where you get the strongest signal. But like I said, it's never gone up to 5. So that's FM. Pushed in AM, it popped the FM button out. So you can hear stations are coming in well on AM.
I disagree with them politically.
Now the talk radio, Spanish station.
They have the turnaround story like he's had.
Another talk radio.
On the iHeart Radio app or
I think that's 1320. So, local Catholic radio station, 1430. At least you can hear AM FM is working good, and like I mentioned before, I'm just glad the dial cords and the orange tuning indicators are working fine. So you can see, since I switched to medium wave or AM using this same tuning dial. Now it's moving this. If I push it back to AM, the same dial operates this with the clutch I showed you earlier. I guess the switches were sort of bad when I first got the radio. Let's say if you pushed it in, a lot of times you wouldn't hear anything. You had to hit it again, I guess break up some of that oxidation. The connection got better. So I took the radio apart to try to figure out how to clean this, and it's I'd say like a mechanical marvel in there. I'll have another, or maybe a separate video for that, maybe attach it to this one. So now it seems to be working okay as soon as you push the button. Let's see what we might find. Let's see, let's go to shortwave 2. I don't think we're going to be hearing anything at this moment. Shortwave 3. I think I still actually need to cycle some of the switches. Alright, I think this is 13845 or religious broadcaster. So here's the fine tuning. So it just helps you try to dial that signal in without using the big tuning knob. But as you can see, this dial is up a little above 3. Tune off, it just goes down, back up. So that's really what I find useful about it, and it's never gone up to 5 even on a strong signal. But as you can hear, it is pulling in a station on shortwave during the day here. This is a pretty strong signal though. Got some noise popping up there. I do have my backlight, that's okay. Let's see if we can get, I don't know if we can hear anything else at this time. But I'll make another video in the evening, see if we can catch more stations. But this is pretty fine tuning on here. It goes from 12 megahertz all the way up to 20 on this one range. And I'll just show you here just the other shortwave 5 through 10. If we hit this, now we have to use this knob to tune these bands here, and these are, in my opinion, sort of limited the range. So this goes just from 5.8 up to 6.3. So you may get some shortwave stations here, but not a whole lot. But we're not going to hear anything at this time. Here's 7.4, 6.9 to 7.4. So it's missing like some of the other like 7.8, 7.7, 7.6 where there's going to be shortwave stations. So these bands over here are actually limited in my opinion. Here's 9.4 up to 9.8. So we'll probably get some shortwave stations in this range, but it doesn't go all the way down. Well, I guess from 9. Yeah, so this is probably somewhat useful. See, I guess still the switch is, this is really a pain to try to squirt some cleaner in to clean this out, but you can see below 11, I don't know how far this goes down, up to 12, so you may get some stations here in the evening. We got 15 up to 15.5, 17.5 up to 8, and then it just keeps going. So this is a little different than on the Zenith Transoceanic. On that drum dial, it stops. This, you can just keep rotating over and over. There's no like hard stops on this. And so that's where it was kind of hard to see where to spray the can in there to try to clean out the switch. So it's still a little staticky, as you can hear. but it's better than it was, but maybe just using it over time, it'll actually get even better. But you can see, I guess we heard that other station over here, 13845. I guess there's no, that band isn't on here. You can see it cuts out. So that's just a quick tour of the Satellit 5000. I'll be doing like I said, a video showing opening up the radio, taking out the chassis, and trying to figure out the best way to clean out the switch contacts. And thanks to YouTube, I guess Radio Cruncher has a YouTube site. I guess he was working on one of these. I think it was like a 5-hour video, so I watched his video, learned a lot. I guess making sure all the screws I needed to take out the chassis, and what else I needed to do. I had to unsolder the wires, go into the battery box so I could pull out the chassis further, and he spent a lot of time trying to figure out where to spray the cleaner in for the switches here. So definitely a mechanical marvel in my opinion. And this is, I think, let's say it's made in 1965, so it's 61 years old. Is that right? Yeah, 61-year-old radio, and still working. Probably not as well as it did when it was first came out, but it's still tuning around, pulling in the signals, and
Dementia, that was a gut punch. And
sounding pretty good.
Were you just following
So thanks for
your
watching.
imagination here,
If you
or
liked the
did you
video,
set
give it a
out
thumbs
to
up,
write about what is
subscribe to the channel, and talk to you later. Aloha.